Everyone, it's been a while since I posted a video log. Thought I'd just take the time right now. We're at the end of our first week here in Canada of kids going back to school, elementary, high school, and university college. Seen lots of great pictures of kids on their first day looking all shiny and smiles and ready to head out the door, and then you kind of expect that everything's going to be hunky-dory. I just dated myself by saying that. But I guess one of the things that I want to address right now is how much of a struggle it can be for kids going to school. First week of school can be a great time where you are encountering your old friends again, which is great, but it can also be a time of high anxiety. We have 4 kids, and 3 of them are back to school this year, and one's moved off to Ottawa to be with the church family there and do an internship. But I know for each one of them, they had levels of anxiety this week. I don't want to declare over my kids that they have anxiety disorders or anything like that. I just know that they each had anxieties going into this school year. One of them, he was going into a classroom that he wasn't sure whether he wanted to be in that class or not. Another one was entering into high school for the very first time. And another one was going into a senior year of school and trying to figure out what this year looks like after having had an amazing summer at camp with Christian friends. And I guess that's probably one of the biggest things that I want to talk about, is that relationships for kids, it maybe sounds easy, but it's not easy at all, especially when you get into the high school years. You're trying to figure out who you are and your identity, and you want to make good choices in terms of your friends, and then sometimes you want to bag it and just join the friend group that you've always been in before, even if you don't like the decisions that they make for themselves or you don't agree with their philosophy of life. You know, and there is the stories where Jesus spent time with these sinners and the people who were the outcasts of society, or the ones that perhaps were not righteous in the way that they lived. So there is a call for us to live amongst them and to know them and to be known by them. But I think for kids, when they are at that foundational stage of faith in their high school years, to know how to navigate that and find their fit without losing their own personal identity and some of the things that they've chosen to follow, if they have chosen to follow Christ, can be a real challenge because they feel inside their hearts that they don't want to condone the behavior of their friends, but at the same time they don't want to ignore them and seem standoffish and snobbish. So I just know that this time of year can be really hard for kids who are growing in their faith in God and who have a real desire to live a life that's very dissimilar to their friends. And so sometimes that can make it really difficult in conversations. It can mean kids wandering halls because they don't know exactly where they fit in. They don't fit in with the fringe. They don't fit in perhaps with this peer group or with this peer group. They don't stand for what's in this peer group, but they don't actually know who they stand with or who they stand beside. And so this is a message for all of you kids that are going through that, who are having a tough time adjusting to a new school year, who are trying to figure out what it means to walk this road of faith amongst people who really don't understand why you're doing it. Just be encouraged and know that any trial or struggle that you suffer is something that God is going to make into a really amazing quality of you, a quality of understanding, a quality of patience, and a quality where you will know how to love and encourage those people that you see walking through what you've walked through. It doesn't make it any easier for you in the moment, but there are so many stories of faith in the Bible where men and women of God were put into very difficult situations and they felt very lonely, they felt very isolated, and they didn't know what to do. And sometimes they were surrounded by people. David was surrounded by tons of people and yet he felt incredibly alone. And God told him in those times that it was important for him to strengthen himself in the Lord. And there will be times this year when you go through school that you're going to feel completely alone. You're going to feel isolated. Not that I'm prophesying that over you. I just remember being in high school and elementary school. And in those times, just remember that if David could go through it and he became king and became one of God's most treasured generals in the Bible, you can go through this too and you'll be okay. Just think, maybe God has a kingship in store for you in your future. And this is just part of you growing in your kingship. Have a great day, everyone.